This doesn't seem like much, but it's actually a satanic
demon sent to devour the United States of America from within.
Okay, perhaps that's a bit overdramatic, but in reality it does a lot of damage. See, this is a typical suburban neighborhood in the United States, and if I'm being honest, it's kind of boring. It's just a bunch of these similar looking lonely houses. See, in a large chunk of suburban USA, which is roughly where half of the US population lives, it's illegal to build in any other way than this. But to better illustrate what I'm talking about, let's compare it to a European suburb. Right off the bat, if you ask me, this is nicer looking. Whoa, what's that? People getting around by bicycle instead of exclusively by car? Houses chained together to save money? In US suburbs, that's illegal. Small apartment buildings, they got the ban hammer. In the land of the free, you can legally own a bazooka, but building affordable housing, that's a no-go. And it just so happens the US has a massive ongoing affordable housing crisis. And US suburbs actually tie into this much more than you might expect. See, let's play a little game. You're American.
You're broke! You're fucking poor!
And you want a home. Got it? Okay. Well, your first option would most likely be something inside a city where you'll find many job opportunities. However, land is expensive, so it's not ideal. The polar opposite would be a place in the middle of nowhere where land is dirt cheap. And although there'll still somehow be single women wanting to meet up with you, there'll be no jobs. Okay, but what then about the land right outside the urban cities? The suburban areas. Convenient location, decent land prices. Wow, a small apartment here might very well be perfect. Oh wait, remember, in US suburbs, they've outlawed all of the most affordable housing options. In other words, on the land that's best suited for it, affordable housing is illegal. And it's been this way since the 1950s, where this suburban design came to dominate America, causing a lot of harm to all American citizens that goes way beyond budget housing. Have you ever heard the term soccer mom? You know, an overprotective American mother who basically dictates the entire existence of her little child. See, in Europe, where they allow for these much denser housing options, the neighborhoods are going to get much more compact, meaning that everything, including sporting facilities, is usually within walking distance or biking distance, even for a child, allowing them to go out and do stuff and learn some independence at a very early age. Now, contrast that with Independence Nation itself. Only allowing these buildings, everything becomes very spread out, meaning that if little Timmy wants to go play some soccer, well, then he better get on his military boots and marine uniform, because he has an hour-long slog through a maze of weirdly shaped car-infested streets. But let's be honest, he's not gonna do that. Instead, he's going to get in the back of mommy's monster truck and have her drive him, meaning that he's basically bound to his mother's skirt until the age of 16, when he himself can learn to drive. Now, that's an interesting statement. There are few things more American than a drunk driver. See, compared to Europe, US drunk driving statistics are through the roof, and a lot of that has to do with the options of transportation. See, not only have US suburbs killed off walking and biking, but it's also destroyed something else that's very important. I'm currently standing in the middle of a very small European suburb. Now, let me just blow the minds of all my American viewers. A train station. European suburbs being so compactly built, it's very easy to build public transportation that's both convenient and efficient for many people. Now let's go to the US and plot down a train station so 50 people can use it. Some places are admittedly a bit better, but compared to Europe in terms of public transportation, it's still a hot pile of garbage. Therefore, in the US, unless you live inside a big city, you have no other option than to own a car, which in itself actually causes a surprising amount of problems. Take, for example, these completely congested 50-lane highways. Well, if you give people no other option than to drive cars, what do you expect? The US is sort of the poster child for fat folks, and everyone driving everywhere, thus never really walking, surely isn't helping. Take a quick look look anywhere across the United States and you'll quickly stumble upon an American icon, the parking lot. They cost a lot and take up an absurd amount of valuable land, especially inside big cities. Because with everyone having to drive cars, they always need to be big enough to hold an entire military tank division, just like the founding fathers intended. You know, there's a whole nother side to this entire ordeal that's just completely insane. See, not only is this type of harmful suburban design mandatory, but it's also receiving a taxpayer-funded discount. See, for every house we need streets and sewage systems. Now, a few organizations have actually crunched the numbers, and they found that US suburbs being so spread out, their own property taxes aren't covering the maintenance costs of their own infrastructure. In effect, it's being paid for by other people. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with living inside a big house. Heck, I'd even argue that if you want to, you can go live inside a castle. What do I care? Now, but I think you'll agree with me that whether or not you're a middle-class suburbanite or a member of a royal family living inside a palace, no one should have to pay for it for you, especially if it's just a luxury. Now, truthfully, solving this suburban problem would not be very difficult, although it would take a very long time. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to realize that you can have both bazookas and affordable housing be legal at the same time. No, the problem lies in mobilizing political engagement with this admittedly boring topic. So, if you found what I said in this video to be reasonable, please consider hitting the like button, as it makes a massive difference with the mighty YouTube algorithm, thus helping this message reach more people. Adios.